Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. We are thrilled to be back for another juicy episode of A Woman's Prerogative. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and today we're going to be talking about living with intention, with meaning, living a legacy. Joining me is the star of our show. Her name is Mariska, and she was in New Zealand. I always want to say she's in New Zealand, but she is not there. Don't go looking for her there. She's actually in Australia, and she's a very good friend. We met in 2019. We were taking a life coaching certification course, and of course, she's gone on to get many certifications. And she's someone who is an expert when it comes to working with leaders. She has an engineering background, and she's also an author. She's written a song, and she is here today to help me discuss this topic. Let's welcome her to the program. Hello, how are you?
Hello. I am very well. Thank you for asking. And I'm very happy to be here with you after we needed to do some reshuffling for our week.
Yes, for those who don't know, this show is normally on a Monday, my time, and on a Tuesday, your time. And so today is Thursday for me and Friday for you. It's hard to keep up. But, I love this topic. I asked you if you had a topic and you came up with it, living with intention. And I think this is something that the older I get, the more important it seems, because you look at the gift of time and how do you spend your time? Who are you spending with? What are you doing with? So before we get into the topic, I'd like to just really explore some of the things that you're doing, because you are living with intention and you have gotten multiple certifications and you have morphed from engineering, although I think you still include your engineering background and what you're doing, into helping leaders. So tell us about when you realized that your intention was to go down the path that you're on currently.
Ooh, that is a very interesting / little bit loaded question. So for me, as you mentioned, we moved from New Zealand to Australia, but before that we moved from South Africa, hence the accent, to New Zealand. So my poor accent has had a bit of transformation so far. A little bit, mostly South African with a little bit of Kiwi twang in there, and then most probably going to pick up some Australian twang as well. So who knows what it would end up being. But that was part of the intention setting. So initially our intention was to get to Australia eventually, which we did. It took us a bit of a detour via New Zealand, but we got there in the end. And when we moved to New Zealand, my initial intention, I really love the engineering space because we get to innovate. We get to make life easier in some way, shape, or form. And also bring things into life, create things. So I really enjoy that environment. And yet, when I moved from South Africa to New Zealand, I couldn't quite find my place in it. I didn't quite know how to fit back into that space. The industry looks a little bit different between the two countries, the way that they approach things different. So I needed to figure out what I'm doing and how that might look like. And one of the things that early on in my career, I remember going through was this notion of how do you actually choose where you go or what you do for a living? My dad used to say, well, do whatever it is that you feel passionate about, because then you won't work a day in your life. Sounded like sound advice. And that's why I went into engineering, because I enjoy innovating and creating. And yet I needed to do something else. So I went on that rediscovery and trying to figure out what that might be for me. And I found the development space, partially because that was something that I saw within my engineering space and my own growth, that people struggle with it. We go to university, we learn the skills of whatever the thing is that we are interested in. So be that engineering or becoming a doctor, being a nurse, going into law school, whatever it is that you picked, we pick that and we go to university for that thing. And then we grow up in that space and we're really good at it and we step into leadership. And nobody really explains leadership really well. And there's business courses in university so that you can learn how business acumen works. So the business finances, how business are structured, what type of stakeholders you have, how to take these into consideration, all very valuable, and not necessarily how to be a good leader. So that's why I am now focusing on that portion of things, and I get to create with other people. So I'm still bringing that creative and innovative space into all of this. And it took a wee while to get to this, mind you, because I think it was a couple of years. I went a little bit into engineering, and then from there, I moved into more the business area of things. I did my MBA. And then after that, I was like, okay, so what now? What do I do now? And through coaching that I received myself, as well as the program that we did together, me and you, Dr. Jacalyn, got me to where I am today, pretty much. So yeah, that's my intentional and little bit discovering move in between of how I am, where I am at this present moment.
I really applaud you for that, because you know where you're going. Many people don't. And I think that's what potentially could be called a midlife crisis. And you wake up one day and say, oh my gosh, the days are getting shorter. My time here is getting less. And what is it that I'm actually doing? What is my purpose? That is a question that I asked myself many times. What is my purpose? And to be honest with you, when I was younger, I mean, I'm 62, so I would say even when I was 50, I wasn't really sure what my purpose was. And I kind of was in a mindset where I just want to have fun. I just want to enjoy myself. I just want to travel. I just want to wear nice shoes. And then suddenly at some point, it became more than that. And I think really I have to give it out to the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, because I became a volunteer, I think in 2018. And then I became a board member. I recently stepped down from the board, but I think that's when I started realizing living with intention means giving back and helping other people. And once I realized that I was capable of still having fun, but also giving back, then it seemed to come together very nicely. So for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation, there were a number of events, and the events were fun. And at the same time, you're raising money and awareness. And I think the awareness part was a lot easier for me than raising the money, because it's hard to ask people to donate because everyone has the charities that they really love best. But I found that now I had a purpose, and my purpose was beyond thinking about myself. It was, how can I give back? And so I started a support group, and then I got involved in other events. And then finally, as time went on, I ended up taking care of my mother. And not having any children and not really having taken care of anyone full time per se, I realized, wow, this is my intention now, that this time, whatever it is, it's meant to give back. And yet at the same time, I was given the gift of starting this platform and also starting teaching courses. And I always wanted to be a professor, but I never really pursued it. I did apply for part-time jobs while I was working, and I didn't get it for whatever reason. But it wasn't until I came onto this platform that one of our team members, Dr. Justina Matali, she actually asked me to teach the course to her MBA students in Zambia. So it was then that I realized, okay, now I have an additional intention, which is to teach listening skills worldwide. And so now, people would say, well, what does the television network have to do with that? Well, everyone on here has to be an elevated listener. And it came to me, I think it was yesterday, actually, I was teaching setting boundaries and asking permission to some of our team members. And I realized elevated listening is not for everyone, but it is for this platform. So for people who are not interested in continuing education about listening, it's probably not going to be a good fit, because that is the mission that I'm taking this network on. So there is my living with intention for up to this day.
I love that. And I love how you've woven it in and kept some of that fun things that initially for me and Dr. Jacalyn, I don't know about your philosophy around it, but for me, I think we have a tendency to, when we grow up, yes, I'm still growing up. So, but during that process, we get way too serious for no good reason. And we suck the fun out of stuff. And that's not required. Nowhere did anybody ever say it should not be fun. We can make it fun. We can decide to have the intention of bringing in fun into whatever it is that we do. And then taking that lens, it's so helpful for us to bring that into our space. And I love the elevated listening, because for me, if we don't start there, it's not only about listening to others. We don't even listen to ourselves. And how do we want to live with intention if we don't listen to ourselves? We can't. What's the intention going to be? Somebody else's intention, most likely. And that's not really bringing our unique perspective, skill sets, strengths, brilliance to the world. It's bringing pieces of somebody else's stuff that may or may not even be relevant to us. So listening skills, as much as I understand that everybody doesn't necessarily think, oh, this is something that I need or that I want to be actively doing, I do think it is a valuable skill set to have, not only to improve our communication with other people. It's also valuable to us as individuals in order for us to be listening to ourselves and then creating from that space. So with that in mind, Dr. Jacalyn, what's your view on that?
Well, you bring up really good points. I think when someone actually physically comes to take one of my classes, I am really moved, because I know that this person has decided that they need some skills, they need some tools so that they can have better relationships. Many people do not think they have any area to grow when it comes with listening. And so I just put out there rhetorically, why are there so many divorces? Why are there's so much strife across the world? It's because we're not listening to each other. Somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong. And somebody has the power and someone doesn't. And so I really feel, as a leader of this network and as a coach, and you're a leader also and a coach, that it starts with us. So before you can live with intention, you have to be at peace with yourself. You have to listen to your intuition. And I don't know that we're always doing that when we're in our 20s or our 30s. I think there's a lot of intent on having a good time. And it's interesting. I know a number of people in their 30s now with families, and they've got all this responsibility. You know, their life changed dramatically as soon as you have kids. And again, I can't speak to this myself, but you know, you have responsibilities and you have a mortgage and you have work and whatever it is. And so I think it's important to have that fun throughout your life. But I think what actually is considered to be fun changes. So for me, I think what I do is so much fun. And I know that other people probably have no idea. I mean, I actually, right here, I got a package that our logo merchandise came in. So we have a hat and we have and a sweatshirt. And I'm just doing this because this is fun to me. Like this is fun that we have a store and now we have merchandise. I just think it's a blast. And everything that I'm doing, I absolutely love. Other people might think that I'm a workaholic, but I don't look at it as being a workaholic. Maybe it's a funaholic. I don't know, because I really just love what I do.
See, and that means you are not working a day in your life because you are enjoying it.
Yes. Yes. You know, Mariska, it's so funny because I was in corporate for so long. And I remember I've only worked for a handful of companies in my career, but I remember for one, I had to drive 60 some miles and it was like an hour and a half each way. And then for the others, I traveled a lot, and traveling is fun. But when you're traveling for business all the time, sometimes it's not that much fun because you don't have a routine. You know, I love to work out. It's a huge part of my life. And so your workouts are different. Everything's just different. But now, you know, I'm about to go to Europe on this medium book tour, and I really can't wait. And I know I'm going to have fun because I'm going to be with fun people, and I'm teaching my class and I'm doing a book signing. I mean, what could be more fun than that?
And that is fun. And I know for today, you are at the beach, right?
Yes.
And normally, most people go, oh, well, I'm at the beach. I'm going to be sitting on the beach. Yes. And we are doing this show while you are there. So you are surrounded with that beautiful space. And we get to have fun together. So
absolutely. And you know what's so fun for me is that while we are at the beach, so we're on the bay, I do not go and sit outside on the deck. I do not go to the beach. I haven't been to the beach in probably 2 years. I don't even know. I don't even go to the boardwalk to walk down and look at the beach because in my mind, I'm always thinking and I'm always creating. And that to me is exciting. I'll give an example about living with intention. I was invited to this networking event on Tuesday night. And I really didn't want to go. I had to drive 2.5 hours. I ended up going. It was at this beautiful inn. And I didn't know anyone except the person who invited me. And I knew her from high school, but she was younger than I was. And I wouldn't say that we were really hanging around together, but that was 44 years ago. And so when I was at the event, I met a number of nice people, but I thought there's some reason that the universe has brought me to this location. And I wasn't actually sure what it was until the next day. I went and spoke with the owner and had a conversation with these two women who were staying there. They just got married. They were on their honeymoon. And what I realized, the reason I was brought to that inn was because I'm supposed to have listening retreats. And I started working on it immediately. You know me, like I don't leave any stone unturned. And I called the owner and I've called a few people to collaborate with me. And, you know, the thing about a retreat is I've never done it before, but having sold meetings and events for a long time, you have to have people who are going to attend. That's the hardest part. How do you get the people to show up? And how do you market it when you don't know how many people are going to show up or if people are going to show up at all? And I thought, you know what, this is why I was there. That was the intention of why I was brought to that location. And so last night I did a video that I just impromptu. I came back from working out, no shower, no makeup, a mess. And I thought, I don't care. I'm doing a video on gratitude and how grateful I am for all the people in my life that we are where we are today, because the intention is that I'm supposed to leave a legacy of elevated listeners around the world. And I'll just say one more thing about that. When you and I were in the goal imagery course, is that right? Goal imagery. At some point we were talking about vision boards. And so I actually just took out a legal pad, a yellow pad with lines on it. And I still have this. And I drew on my vision board, my paper, I drew me in the front of a podium, and then a desk. And then there were 50 chairs with the arm that flips over. Like when I went to school, we used to have those kind of desks. And in each chair was a person. There were 50 chairs, and I wrote elevated listening. So my dream was to have 50 elevated listeners, and we probably have 200 now. And so it's amazing that that was something I put on that board, and with the intention of teaching people inner peace, that we far surpassed the number of elevated listeners. So I feel that is the intention of what I'm supposed to do, is host a retreat for people to learn listening skills and do meditation and yoga and cold plunging and sauna.
Oh, yes. That is so exciting. That is so extremely exciting. And I am so happy that you have listened to yourself.
Thank
so
you.
That you could actually go and experience the place where the networking was taking place. That wasn't really the thing. It was the venue.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's also interesting, Mariska, is that when we have an intention, okay, my intention is now to have a retreat and, probably have 20 people at the most, so that we can have, intimate, because there's a lot of role playing. But there's that fear factor. What if I can't get anyone to sign up? And I thought, that's not going to happen, because the value that people will take away from it, it's definite. And it's the same thing when I host a course online or even in person. Some of the places where I'm paid to teach, they don't use registration. So you never know if someone's going to show up. And there is the possibility that no one shows up. I still get paid anyway. Thank you. But I don't like to just take money for not doing something. So what I say to myself is, someone is going to show up, because there has to be at least one person that wants to learn how to listen and have better relationships. And ultimately, that's the case.
Yeah. And we have a wonderful network with all our wonderful listeners and watchers. So if they are not able to, I am sure they know somebody that might be able to go on said retreat, enjoy themselves, get to actually meet you in person. Oh, that would be so great. Dr. Jacalyn, we've never met in person. So I'm just putting it out there. Whoever's going to the retreat, I will be vicariously living through you, because you will actually be able to meet Dr. Jacalyn in person. I've never done that before. So yeah, I cannot see how we cannot get 20 people to go to said retreat. And not only do you learn listening skills, you also learn self-regulation through, be it yoga, be it meditation, any other forms of being, where we can actually listen to ourselves. So that sounds like so much fun. I'm jealous.
Well, you and I will meet in person one day. I just know that. And the other thing, I think, when we think about living with intention, it's something that, whether we know it or not, we're so passionate about it. It's something that drives us, that we make decisions, and the decisions that we make are in alignment with what our intention is. And I'll give you another example. So down here at the beach, there's no big gym. There's no solid core. There's two gyms here on the island, and I have a membership at one, but there are no classes like the classes I'm used to taking. And there's no solid core, which there's no replacing solid core. So I've said to myself, my intention is that I'm going to surround myself with this beautiful environment, and I'm going to use it to stimulate myself creatively. And I will go to the gym and do a different kind of workout. That's okay. So the day before I left to go to the retreat, and I stayed overnight. And then yesterday I said to myself, I'm going to stop at my apartment, and I'm going to teach a class in my studio. I taught it online. And then I'm going to do 3 workouts. I'm going to Solid Core, and then I'm going to Lifetime Fitness. I'm taking 2 classes at Lifetime and 1 at Solid Core, because I knew I wouldn't be able to work out today. So my intention was established in the beginning. You're going to do 3 classes yesterday, and then today you're not going to do any classes, and you're going to be working. And so when I set the intention for myself, then the expectation is that's what's going to happen. And I'm at peace with myself. I'm not upset because I didn't get any exercise today, because I know my intention is I'm working, which is really, I'm having fun.
It makes such a big difference. And I love how you're bringing in this piece around passion. And I think it's the things that we really value. I mean, we are passionate about specific things for a reason, right? And there's something that we value in it that really makes us feel alive, feel like this is what I am here to do, to be, to experience as a human. And being able to live life through that lens, I think that already is an intention. So just setting that intention of living more to your values. If you don't know what your values are, there's loads and loads of different exercises on the web. Or alternatively, you can also go to my website. There's a couple of them there as well. But finding out what your values are, if you don't know, if you do know, alternatively, you can also ask friends, what do they see as your values? What is it that they see you think is very important? If you're not sure, I'm sure that your friends will tell you. And then living from that viewpoint. So building it into your life intentionally makes it a life of intent. And Dr. Jacalyn, I know how much you value exercise. And the more you can exercise, I'm sure you would have been happy to live and sleep at the gym. Maybe not that bad.
I'm moving in there. No.
But that's something that you really value, and being intentional about it and understanding when and where you can fit it in. I love the intention setting. It's so good. And it's just overall helpful, I think.
Thank you. Well, that's the same for you. I mean, you have an intention as well. And I feel when people don't know what their intention is, or they don't know why they're here, it's a good time to do some soul searching and work with coaches, work with mentors to actually sort out what it is that brings you joy. So many times, and I did this as well, you get up and you do the same thing every day, right? The alarm goes off, you have your coffee, or for me, you have your tea, and then you just go and do the same thing over and over again. And at some point you ask yourself, and again, I don't know what age this happens for everyone, but for me, when I was, let's see, when did I retire? I retired in 2020. So 5 years ago, at some point I said to myself, what is it I'm doing? And I just realized I love the money. I love the benefits. I mean, especially with somebody with health issues, I had great health care. I loved it. And then I traveled the world. I stayed at 5-star resorts. I ate the best food, but it wasn't really serving me anymore. And so that's when you say to yourself, am I actually being true to myself? And I think many times people get caught up in the money. And as we know, when you have your own business, especially the first few years, it's tough because you're wearing so many different hats, and it's tough to keep clients. It's tough to get clients. It's tough to keep clients. And you have to be able to go the distance and find your intention and keep saying to yourself, remember what my intention is. I can do this. But many times we give up so easily because we didn't expect certain things to happen. And there's always going to be obstacles, the challenges, opportunities to come up. And so we have to remember the why. What is our why and what is our intention?
Yeah. It also reminds me of, I'm not sure if you are familiar with appreciative inquiry. So that's the type of questions we ask ourselves. And I think the other element around intention is not only setting the intention, but also asking ourselves, how can I bring this into life more? Because when we think about how to bring it into life more, we will find the opportunities to do that. If we look at a problem and just thinking about how we can fix the problem, we'll just get to a neutral. We won't really build something new or epic in any way, shape, or form. So understanding what question it is that we are asking ourselves in order to get to our end result. I mean, yes, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, there might be a problem. And we can, by the question we ask, change the outcome that we get. So understanding the importance of our question so that it is in alignment with the intent and that it actually creates something more is very, very helpful for us. So to give you an example, there was an airline that had some baggage loss problems. So initially they asked themselves a question around, well, how can we lose less baggage? Now you can see that that question will most probably get them to a neutral of not losing as much luggage, hopefully. But then they heard about appreciative inquiry and they changed the question to how can we improve our arrival experience? It's still going to sort out the luggage problem, and it will even make things more better. It will improve other areas, other elements of the business. And isn't that what we want? Is we actually want the experience to be a really good one. So understanding the intent and then understanding the question we are asking ourselves in order to get to it. So look at the type of questions you might be asking yourself when you are setting your intent or when you're just trying to problem solve, and think about what would that question do. And if you can change the question to create a thriving space instead of just a neutral space, you are on the right track.
Thank you for sharing that example. I think that's really helpful because when you think about the lost luggage, that's just one piece of the customer experience. And so you have to take a step back and look at the entire customer experience. And I'll give an example that is not specifically customer experience, but we're on many different platforms, some of which are social media. And each social media platform has their own algorithm and their own set of rules, if you will. And so not knowing any of those algorithms or those rules, I have had to I chose to turn to experts to help me because we do a tremendous amount of posting on social media. And I know personally, in addition to the company that I hired that does social media posting, I also do a lot of social media posting. So I hired another company to do an audit of the social media posting. And what I found out was that, as I mentioned, each platform, like in Instagram and YouTube, they're going to be completely different. But you have to take a step back and look at what is your strategy? What is it that you're looking to gain or the value you want to bring by being on social media? Who is your target audience? What is the call to action? And so each platform is going to be different. So once I sat down with the company doing the audit and they asked me these questions, I thought, wow, no one's ever asked me these questions. And in the past, I've hired a number of companies to do social media marketing, but no one ever asked me what the objective was. And so to me, that was kind of like, wow, it's like the airlines. You're taking a step back and looking at the entire customer experience. So I really value companies that look at that instead of looking for a Band-Aid. Let's look at the entire process, like the whole human body. Why did you start to bleed anyway? You know, whatever the case might be. And what is it that we can do to prevent things like this from happening in the future as a company, as an organization?
Yeah, it is literally the intention setting, right? Understanding what's the intent. So why are we on social media? Just what's the intention of it? Or what is the thing that we are trying to solve? And a lot of the times, especially when we're going into problem solving, I have found with my clients being mostly engineers, not all of them, we have a tendency to dive into the problem. And because we do that, we limit the amount of solutions that we might see because we are looking at the problem way too close. If we go back, if we step back and we look at the intent of what we are trying to do, right, then it becomes a lot easier to solve the problem. To give you a silly example, and this is something that happened to me way back when I was still actually in the engineering space, we had a piece of equipment that we upgraded. And one of the things that we did during the upgrade was we upgraded some of the software. because the software was upgraded, the machine then ran at a different temperature. Because the machine ran at a different temperature, we had other issues with other components that wasn't adjusted accordingly to be able to handle said temperature, and they kept failing. So initially, we get the failure, right? So what's the problem? Oh, the pump's the problem. We need to fix the pump. Fix the pump. Put the pump back. Pump fails again. Fix the pump again. Maybe we did something wrong. Didn't install this stuff correctly, whatever the case might be. So fix the pump again. Very expensive pump, by the way. Put the pump back. Fails again. Like, no, I personally, I can't doing this. I can't keep doing this. It doesn't make sense. So step back. Okay, what changed? Because something changed. It doesn't just fail for no reason. And that was the stepping back to go, okay, so we want the whole system to run effectively. That's the intention. This pump is part of the system. What changed in the system? How does that work? And then look at what's required to change in the pump. Of course, we had to redesign the pump to handle the temperatures. And then we fixed the problem. Pump didn't fail anymore. So understanding that, stepping back, giving ourselves that space and looking at the intention, then asking those questions. What's the customer service that we actually want to provide? Whatever the question is that you have, right? What is the environment we want to be creating in this space? Not what is the environment we have. What do we want to create? Okay, now that we know what we want to create, how do we go about doing that? Instead of fixing just one problem that we might have. Because if we know what we want to create, fixing that problem might not even be on the cards. It might totally be removed, and we have other things that we will focus on because we have clear intention and we have a question that actually helps us to thrive instead of just go back to normal, which technically speaking, if we're not growing, we are dying. So that's something to take into consideration too.
I think you're spot on. I think also when I think about when I was getting my doctorate and writing my doctoral dissertation, it starts with a hypothesis. So it starts with a question. And so the question has to be really spot on, if you will. So that's why it's even coaching, sales, when you ask someone a closed-ended question, you're not going to get any information that you really can do anything with. So I think that's when we think about living with intention, we have to frame it up so that we can really explore all possibilities instead of limiting ourselves. I think once we explore the possibilities, then we get on the road that becomes more precise and more accurate based on where we feel our intentions are going to be best served.
Yeah, because we have loads of possibilities. There's always opportunity in anything we go through. And understanding that if we start with intention, that's zooming out so that we can see everything. We can see the whole environment, so to speak. But if we only zoom in to the problem that we're experiencing or the difficulty that we're having, then we don't see the options. We don't see the other possibilities. And, well, we end up hitting our toes, noses, elbows, and so forth in our pursuit to fix the thing.
It's very true. You know what that reminds me of? Many times when, well, I'll take a step back. Every Sunday, I post the top 10 TV show hosts for the live and for the shorts. And so I take a picture from my phone and then I edit it, cut out the, no one needs to see how much battery I've left. And then I post it onto Facebook with no information. Because if I try to do it from my phone with my long nails, it's just too hard. I need to be able to type on the computer. So then I'll go to Facebook, and for whatever reason, it happens almost every time, it either zooms in and everything is like big letters, or it zooms out. And so either way, I can't see the full picture. I can't see who the top 10 are. I can only see one or two, or the top or the bottom. And then I have to try to, use my fingers to get the screen to be smaller. And it just reminds me of what we're talking about, which is depending on your perspective, if you're so far zoomed in or you're so far zoomed out, then you're not going to get the whole picture. And I think there's a happy medium somewhere, and we have to figure out where that is, because that's where we find out where our intention is, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that is part of the intention, right? We can't always live from a totally zoomed out space, because then we don't see the rocks and the trees and the stuff that we're going to be falling over. We can also not be so close to the ground with our noses that all we see is the grains of sand, because then how do we find the path? So we need that in-between space, and we also need to be able to zoom out so that we can give ourselves a bigger perspective, and potentially to zoom in if we need to look at a little bit more detail. So understanding what it is that you require at which point in time is also intention setting. So being intentional with what you do, thinking through, okay, what is the result of me doing this thing right now? And then being okay with that. It is a decision point, right? And if it's not working for whatever reason, then maybe take a different perspective, zoom in or zoom out and see what changes, or change literally the way that you look at it. So turning yourself in order to look at different things. Actually reminds me of a walk me and my husband normally walks in the morning, and there was something next to the road. I was not sure what it was at all. It's a bit dark at the moment when we go walking. So it was lying at the next to the road, and initially I thought it's an apple. Then I walked a little bit further, so my perspective changed, and I thought it looks like somebody maybe dropped a muffin. And then I walked a little bit further, and then it ended up looking like something completely different. I didn't know what it was. This was yesterday, and so today we walked past the same place, and we got to where the thing was laying. And it actually came closer to the pathway we were walking. And it ended up being a toy, a dog toy, the Tempen bowling ones. A piece of the knob was ripped off. Apparently the dog really enjoyed that toy. So that's what it was. It wasn't an apple. It wasn't a muffin. It wasn't whatever else it was that I thought. It was a piece of dog toy. So understanding that perspective changing can help us to actually figure out what the thing is, and the zooming in and out is helpful in that process too.
Yeah, that's another great analogy, because sometimes we're dead set on something, and we're sure it's the apple, we're sure whatever it is, and then when we get closer, we have different lighting or different mindset, different perspective, we see it's something else. And I think something else for living with intention that I just want to mention. So I shared with you that I'm going to do this retreat, and not having ever done a retreat, but having sold meetings and events for 20 some years, I have been asked to be part of a retreat. And supposedly it was going to be taking place in September, but I didn't see any marketing about it. And I didn't get any information. And so it turns out the retreat's not taking place because they didn't have anyone sign up. And I kind of expected that, because in order to get your intention out there, you have to let people know about it. You have to let people know that and give them enough notice so that they can. And, I have to take a little bit of a hit myself. So we just had Setting Boundaries and Asking Permission Part 2 certification course. And a couple people said to me, you really didn't give me enough notice. And we did put it out there a month in advance. But what I found is, and you're not guilty of this, so don't worry. But what I found is that when I send out emails, somewhere in the middle of the email or at the end, I will put a green check mark and a call to action. And so in the last email I sent out with information about this course, I did put call to action. please reply and acknowledge that you have read the information on here and that you're willing to move forward. And out of all the people that I sent it to, only 3 people acknowledged it. So people are not actually reading the email. So now what I've decided to do, since my intention is for everyone to take these courses, is I'm now offering them every month, the last Tuesday or the last Monday of every month. And so if one person signs up, then it'll be me and that person doing role plays, or if a number of people. So therefore, my intention again is to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to do these things so that they can get the education.
And that's the other thing about intention setting. It's a little bit the same with communication, in the sense that when we speak it, one, for intention setting, we need to be able to speak it. The other thing is that other than speaking it, we also need to take into consideration the ear where it lands, right? It's not the speaker, but it is where it lands, how it lands, that we can then evaluate whether we have had effective communication or not. So, Dr. Jacalyn, to your point on emails, and I know I am a culprit for this, if I get a very, very long email, I will typically read the top, maybe somewhere in the middle something, and then at the end, if there's anything else, PS is a great way to pull my attention, right? So if it's the end of the email and there's a PS at the end, that's where I will definitely read the PS and then go back to something if I need to go back to it. So that's for me in emails. But understanding how people interact with whatever it is that we have out there helps us to then adjust it so that the intention that we have and the impact that we get is the same. Instead of having an intention of doing one thing and then the impact gets to be something quite different. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've had times when I communicated stuff in a certain way and it fell flat, or it actually blew up in my face because my intention was one thing, but the way that I communicated it and the way that it landed for the other person was quite different to the intention I had. So understanding that those also need to be in alignment for us to actually create the thing that we want to create, especially when we are working with, well, other human beings and things in our environment. It's always good to remember.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you again for that incredible experience and knowledge, expertise that you have. We are out of time again. We are way over. We are going over. So that's a good sign. And by the way, I like how the way our backgrounds come together. They kind of merge. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's neat. So Mariska, what is it that you want to leave people with today? And then we'll talk about how they can contact you.
So for today, if you take nothing else from the show, remember to set an intention, whatever that might be, and think about the question you ask yourself and what it will create. Because your intention and your question would be the things that would help you to create. So that is the main things that I would leave you guys with. If this is the PS at the end of an email, PS, take note of those two things and you will be well on your way to setting really good intentions for your life, for your work, for wherever it is that you move on this planet. And then for contact information, you can get hold of me at Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So that is the two places where you can get hold of me and you can send me a message and we can start our conversation.
All right, I was
Ooh.
running over to LinkedIn, so sorry, I'm always on mute. So here's Mariska's, her account, her bio on LinkedIn. Please do connect with her. We really would appreciate it. And I
Mhm.
think for me, as we sign off for today, what I'd like to say is when you live your life with intention, I think it takes away a lot of the stress and a lot of the pressure. And something that I promise you I was not even aware of until the last year is there are always things that we wish would happen or that we yearn to happen or that we want to happen. And maybe they're not supposed to happen. And so that has taken me all these years to realize that even though I wanted to have this work out or that work out, it wasn't supposed to work out. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I really wanted to be a solid core instructor. I really wanted it. I tried out during the pandemic and said, in fact, I still have the video. I made it here at a little trampoline and I was doing my little thing. And then they said that I had the job. And then when the pandemic ended, because I was here and that was in Florida, that I had to actually go and audition again. And I auditioned again, and people told me that I crushed it, that on the mic I was unbelievable and this and that. And I didn't get the job. And then I tried out again and I didn't get the job. And I was told basically because I didn't have like they want people to do it at 5 a.m. and, all kinds of hours that I'm not willing to do at this age. And I was really upset about it. And then finally, at some point, I spoke to Roland and he said, it's not where you're supposed to be. It's not in alignment with your intention. And I was able to let it go. And I still love it. I still go there and I think to myself, there's no way I could do that job. I have no interest in doing it. I really admire it, but it's not where I'm supposed to be. So now when things don't go, and I don't even say the way that I want them to go, I just say to myself, okay, it's not where I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to just let go of it.
I love that. So not holding on it too tightly. It's setting the intention and then almost offering it back to the universe and saying, this is my intention. Let's see what you do with it.
Exactly right. I tried to get out of going to that retreat. I mean, poor Michelle, the woman who invited me, I was just like, I can't go. I'm not going to go. And then finally she's like, I really want you to go. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm supposed to go. And I was able to rearrange things. But if something else had come up, I would have thought, no, I'm not supposed to go and do that. But I'm so glad that I did. And so that's what I'm going to leave people with, that many times what's showing up for us is where we're supposed to be or the path we're supposed to go down. But we don't listen to our intuition. We don't take what the universe is showing us. We have something completely different in mind and we are going to get it. We are adamant. And maybe that's not where we're supposed to be. So that's what I'll leave people with, to just have an open mind and an open heart and to look at the opportunities that come to you and say yes when you can, and be a kind person, be a respectful person, and put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you start judging them and criticizing them, because there's nothing good that comes from that. And by the way, I'll just say one last thing. On a show I did earlier this morning, 9 a.m., somebody on YouTube put a comment, and the comment was Chief Listening Officer, LMAO. So basically like, oh yeah, you're a chief listening officer. Well, I am a chief listening officer. It's my company. That's my title. It's filed with the state. And I have enough experience teaching listening. And so I thought to myself, this person is questioning my intention or questioning my title. And I thought, what's coming up for that person that they have nothing better to do than go and watch a TV show and put a negative comment on? And I let it go. And so that's what I share with people. Just, it's not your problem. Just let it go and follow your intuition and your intention and your intent.
Yeah. And it's yours, right? It's nobody else's. It's yours. You can make with it what you want to make with it. So don't worry about everyone else. They have their thing. You have your thing.
Just stick to your thing and do it the best that you can. Show up with every intent to accomplish at the best of your ability. And if you want help, ask for help. There are plenty of people who will be happy to help you. And Mariska, thank you for helping me over all these years. I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking time out of your busy morning. Is it morning still?
Yes, it's morning still. It is 8:24 a.m. on Friday morning for me.
Well, thank you for getting here at 7 something in the morning, and here it is. It's 6:24 at night. So
just see, and we're also on opposite sides of the seasons, because as you guys can see, it's winter for me, and Dr. Jacalyn, it's summer for you guys.
June 21st is the official day of summer, at least it used to be. So we're not quite in summer, but it's definitely nice weather. So I'm not going to complain.
There you go.
All right, we are going to say goodbye for now. Thank you for joining us. Please look for us next week on a Monday in the United States and on a Tuesday in New Zealand and Australia. So thank you again, Mariska. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go over to our sponsors, and we have actually a relatively brand new movie trailer for the newest Lady Ella book, and it's actually a song. And I'm sad to say that I didn't write it with you, but I thought of you when I did. So let's take a look. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Lady Ella flies up high, spreading kindness through the sky. With Lord Jack right by her side, through the world they glide. They listen close, they understand, helping creatures in the land. With open hearts, they lend a hand. Come along, come and see. Kindness starts with you and me. Listen close, hear the sound. Kindness makes the world go round. Goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga. So spread your wings and soar so high, like Lady Ella in the sky. With Lord Jack we'll always say, listening and kindness light the way.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions, designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.